Chapter 3 Leaving Hollywood in the Dust. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. William Shakespeare, As You Like It. I'd now like to introduce two additional metaphors that will support you in understanding the true nature of the human game, the money game, the field on which we play those games, and prepare you for the scientific documentation that follows in the next chapter. The metaphors revolve around amusement parks and movies. An amusement park is a place that was specifically designed to offer rides and attractions to entertain you. You go to an amusement park by choice. Nobody drags you or forces you to go. You generally go with people you know. You experience the rides and attractions that appeal to you and ignore the ones that don't. You arrive and leave as you prefer. You go once or return multiple times. I now invite you to look at the world, or what we call three-dimensional reality, as if it were a gigantic amusement park. If you are an infinite being and you are going to play a game, you can't just play any game. You'd be bored out of your mind. It would be like a professional basketball team playing an 8th grade basketball team. There would be no challenge, no point, no real game. If you, as an infinite being, are going to play a game, it must be the ultimate game. It must be extremely sophisticated and complex and cleverly designed to keep you riveted, challenged, and on the edge of your seat at all times. That's no simple task. Therefore, continuing the metaphor, to play the human game, a gigantic amusement park had to be created that would offer a wide variety of extremely complex rides and attractions, games. One of the star attractions in that amusement park is the money game. However, unlike familiar amusement parks such as Disney World, the amusement park in which the human game and the money game are played was designed to offer a rare breed of rides and attractions that are called total immersion movies. Let's take a look at Hollywood movies for a moment. In Hollywood movies, nothing is as it appears. Everything is carefully scripted and planned before it's filmed. Nothing ends up in the final cut of a movie unless it perfectly supports the telling of the story exactly as the creators of the movie envisioned. Nothing is random or accidental in the final cut of a movie you see on the screen. Every aspect is carefully crafted in order to have a specific impact on you, make you laugh, cry, angry, open your heart, and so on. Everything in a Hollywood movie looks real and substantial, but it isn't. It's all made up. It's all an illusion, and special effects extend the illusion to an incredible degree. You know it's an illusion as you sit in the movie theater, but you temporarily suspend your disbelief in order to be entertained. If you went behind the scenes to see how a movie is really made, what the sets actually look like, how the special effects are created and applied, what happens in the editing room, and then looked at the final cut you saw on the screen and compared them, you'd be amazed by the complexity and the time, energy, and effort that's involved. As you know, Hollywood illusions are absolutely convincing and must be, or we'd walk out of the theater or never plank down our hard-earned money to see the movies in the first place. All of this is true for your life and the human game as well. In your movie, nothing is as it appears. Every scene is carefully scripted and planned before you experience it. Nothing ends up in your movie unless it perfectly supports you in having the precise human game experience you want to have. Nothing is random or accidental in your movie either. Everything has been created exactly the way it is to support you in playing the human game exactly the way you want to play it, no matter how you might label or judge it at the moment. It's all carefully crafted to have a specific impact on you, especially the money game, limit you and convince you you are the exact opposite of who you really are. Just like in a Hollywood movie, everything in your world looks real and substantial, but it isn't. It's all made up. Everything you perceive with your five senses is an illusion. All props and special effects designed to create an alternative reality that allows you to play the human game. And your own special effects extend the illusion to an incredible degree too. When I take you behind the scenes to show you how total immersion movies are made in a human game amusement park, you'll be amazed by the complexity, time, energy, and effort that's involved. It must be that way. The illusions created to support the playing of the human game must be absolutely convincing, or the human game would end abruptly, the equivalent of you walking out of the theater during a boring or poorly crafted movie. As you'll see after turning more and more pages in this book, the special effects required to make the money game appear real would put every special effects and animation studio in Hollywood to shame. With Hollywood movies, millions of dollars are spent, thousands of people are involved, extremely intricate and expensive computers and other equipment are used. It sometimes takes months or even years to move from the start of a project to the moment it appears on the screen. Why is all that time, energy, effort, and money invested? To make money, you might say. That's true, but what must happen before Hollywood can make money? You must be entertained, right? And for you to be entertained, what must happen? You must feel something. Just about everyone I know loves movies. If for some reason you don't, follow along with me and you'll still get the point I want to make. Why do so many people love movies? When I ask people, most of them say, they are fun and entertaining. They provide a diversion from the daily routine. You can learn and grow from them. They enable you to see different points of view and have unique experiences. Makes sense, doesn't it? Especially in light of what we've seen discussing in this chapter. However, beneath the surface of those insights is a secret few people ever uncover or fully understand. The secret is feelings. We love movies because of the feelings they stimulate within us. The truth is, we don't really care about the action on the screen. We just care about how the action on the screen makes us feel. By the way, that's also why people enjoy reading books, playing and watching sports, listening to music, going to the theater, playing video games, riding roller coasters, going skydiving, climbing mountains, bungee jumping, and so on. It's always about feelings. The external experiences only matter to the extent that they trigger inner feelings. Think of something you really love to do, a game you love to play or watch, a task you enjoy doing, something you find extremely enjoyable. Then ask yourself, why do I love it so much? What's the real appeal? you'll see that what you really love is what's going on inside of you, and what's going on outside is just the trigger. It's the same with the human games. At its core, the human game is all about feelings, and everything that happens on the screen of your total immersion movie is also just a trigger to set specific feelings into motion that support you in playing the human game amusement park the way you choose to. Key point: at their core, movies, the human game, and the money game are all about feelings, not thinking, logic, or intellect. Let me give you an additional illustration to deepen your understanding of this key point. I've never been a fan of baseball, but I once spoke with a friend who was fanatical about baseball. I said, "I prefer football. There's more action and a faster pace. To me, baseball is slow and boring. Why do you love it so much?" "Baseball is primarily a mental game," he said. "The fun comes from watching the possibilities. Whenever something happens, there's a strike, a ball, an out, a bunt, a single, double, triple, or home run, whatever it is. It creates a whole new set of possibilities. Watching the possibilities and the movement of what would happen if scenarios is where the fun comes from." The human game was designed to operate in a similar way. It too is about exploring what would happen if scenarios, because every time one thing happens, everything changes and there's a whole new set of possibilities to consider and play with. That's part of what's required to keep us interested and wanting to continue playing the human game. Now, here's a really interesting part. When you're in a movie theater, When you're in a movie theater, you're just watching a movie. You may get very involved with the story and closely identify with the characters, but you still know you are you. You still know you are sitting in the theater watching. You still know it's not real. You still know the action is taking place outside of you. In short, there's a distance between you and the events taking place in the movie. When playing the human game in phase 1, however, you don't just watch, you totally immerse yourself in the storyline. Imagine sitting in a theater, seeing a movie scene start to play on the screen, stepping through the screen into the scene, forgetting who you really are and actually becoming one of the characters for a while, actually believing you are that character and everyone and everything else in the movie is real. That's what I mean by total immersion and what happens when you play the human game. Let's now take a look at how a Hollywood movie is made. Then we'll bring it back to how your total immersion human game movie is made. Before a Hollywood movie can be made, a subject of interest must be chosen. The movie must be about something. There must be a story someone wants to explore. Then a script is written that contains the details of how the story will unfold. Then a director, cast, and crew are hired and filming starts. When the story reaches its end, filming stops. It's the same thing with the human game. You have to pick specific rides or attractions in the human game amusement park to write stories about. I call this a mission or life purpose. What do I mean by rides and attractions? Everything you see in the physical universe and on our planet is a ride or attraction. If you are playing the role of being a parent, that's a ride in the amusement park. If you hold a job in a company, the job and company are attractions. If you teach physics in a high school, teaching at the high school arise. As I explained earlier, the money game in all its complexity and splendor is an attraction. On and on it goes through everything you see happening in what you call the world. After you choose specific rides and attractions to play with, metaphorically, a script is written that details how your total immersion movie experience will unfold as you play in the human game amusement park. Just like in Hollywood movies, a director in the form of your expanded self is then hired to oversee your total immersion movie experience and guide and protect you on your journey. A cast is then hired, the other people playing small or large roles in the human game with you. Filming starts, which is the equivalent of your being born, and filming ultimately ends, which is the equivalent of your dying. As a quick but important review, everything you see on the screen in a movie is a combination of the writer's intent, the producer's decision to make it real, the director's sensitivity to the overall purpose of the proposed project, and the various performers' abilities to support the entire effort. In other words, what you see on the screen is the final expression of a great deal of creative activity you do not see. Yet, it's the unseen creative activity that's the true cause and source of the story you see unfolding. It's this unseen creative activity my grandfather opened my eyes to when I was 12, the unseen creative activity I spent decades understanding and learning to fully tap, and the unseen creative activity I'll be sharing with you in the pages that follow. When you're ready to discover the truth about the unseen activity that creates what you experience, the unseen activity that presently keeps you locked into the limitation of the money game, the unseen activity that can ultimately bust you loose from the money game, turn the page and continue on to chapter 4.